All right, folks, buckle up, because today we are diving deep into Iron Maiden's Power Slave.
Yeah, Power Slave.
We all know this album absolutely shreds,
Oh, yeah.
but we're going to dig deeper and unearth the history, the literature, the social commentary woven into this heavy metal masterpiece.
What gets me about Power Slave, it's amazing to me how Iron Maiden can be headbanging 1 minute, right?
Right.
And then hit you with these incredibly intricate stories the next. It's like this whole other layer.
It's wild. Okay, let's just jump right into it. Aces High.
Okay.
Just the opening riff, it gets the adrenaline going. It's like you're right there in the cockpit, feeling the heat of the Battle of Britain.
And they nail those details, too, the Battle of Britain, just to kind of set the scene.
Yeah, for sure.
This was a pivotal moment, right? You've got these pilots under incredible pressure, fighting off the Luftwaffe in these, iconic Spitfires. The lyrics, they don't mess around. They put you right there in the action.
And then we slam right into 2 minutes to midnight.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about capturing a global mood, right? Like that Cold War anxiety,
Absolutely.
nuclear annihilation, political maneuvering. It's all there.
You can practically hear that doomsday clock ticking, can't you?
It's heavy.
But what I think is really interesting, it's not just about the fear, right? It's about the manipulation going on during that time, the human cost of all this.
Yeah.
There's even this, touch of nihilism that was kind of in the air back then. They really captured that.
It's true. But then you're weighed down with all of that.
Yeah.
And suddenly lost for words.
Ah, yes.
This beautifully haunting instrumental, just a little break for reflection.
Precisely. But even a little break like this, it's not just filler, Pay attention to those tempo shifts, that almost mournful guitar tone. It's like they're mirroring that emotional exhaustion you feel after the intensity of those first two tracks, guiding you through this experience, building a wave.
Leading to the crash that is Flash of the Blade.
Oh, for sure.
Talk about adrenaline.
Yeah.
It's like stepping into a samurai film. Honor, swordplay, that life or death moment.
And they tell it like a story, a really well-written one, too. See, that's what gets me about their lyrics. They're not just singing about swords or battles.
Right.
They're creating a whole scene, a narrative arc. It's right there in the music.
And speaking of swords, we go right from Flash of the Blade into The Duelists. But there's a totally different vibe here.
Oh, yeah. The Duelists, it's a lot bleaker, isn't it? It's like fate has already decided the outcome.
It's heavy.
No matter how skilled the swordsman.
It's like a Greek tragedy almost.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a counterpoint to that heroism in Flash of the Blade. Flash romanticizes it, right?
Yeah.
The warrior, the fight. But the Duelist is like, hold on. Even mastery can't escape fate. It's a much darker take on swordsmanship, I think. And it's kind of interesting with the whole Cold War backdrop still in the mix, It's like, even in this fantasy duel, there's this sense of, inescapable outcomes.
Yeah.
Potentially devastating outcomes.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so from epic battles and duels, we kind of shift gears.
We do.
We get to Back in the Village. And I gotta say, this one always leaves me guessing a bit.
Oh, really?
Is it about the aftermath of war? Is it about facing your demons? What do you think?
That ambiguity, that's part of what makes it so interesting to me.
Right.
It lets you, the listener, bring your own interpretation. That's the beauty of it. But what it does do, for sure, is mark a turning point in Power Slave. We're moving away from these huge historical battles and turning inward. It's more personal, introspective.
Definitely. And from that personal reflection, we get blasted into ancient Egypt with Power Slave.
Tuckles, no transition.
Right.
They just go for it.
Full throttle.
Full throttle.
This is Iron Maiden at their epic storytelling best. Pharaoh's The Eye of Horus. It's all here.
It really is. And they don't just name drop these things, though. That's what I like about it. They really get into, the essence of what these things meant to ancient Egyptians, Think about being a pharaoh, worshipped as a god, right?
Right.
But still human, still terrified of dying.
Oh, yeah.
These lyrics, they tap into that, you know? That very human desire for legacy, for power over mortality. It's heavy stuff.
It really is. Speaking of heavy stuff, we have to talk about Rime of the Ancient Mariner. Taking on a classic poem like that, turning it into a heavy metal epic.
It's ambitious.
It's wildly ambitious.
It is, but that's Iron Maiden for you.
It's true.
And it really highlights those literary influences, they're not afraid to go there. Coleridge, no, that's a dense poem.
Oh, yeah.
But they managed to get those core themes, sin, redemption, the sheer power of nature. It's all woven into the mariner's journey. And they follow the original pretty closely at times, too, which I think shows a lot of respect for the source material. They're not just throwing it in there for kicks. They get it.
It's amazing how they take something as complex as that poem and still make it sound totally Iron Maiden.
Right.
But here's the thing about Power Slave.
Yeah.
It's not all ancient history and literature.
Right.
They know how to have a little fun, too, right?
Right.
Shake things up.
Exactly. It's a wild ride, this album. You know, they take you from these epic battles,
Yeah.
deep personal reflections, and then bam,
Yeah.
rainbow's
gold. Talk about a change of pace. It's definitely got a different feel
totally different feel.
than the rest of the album.
It's a cover song, you see,
Oh.
originally by a band called Beckett. A lot more mellow, I think. Maybe even introspective, a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
But that's the thing about Iron Maiden, right? They're not afraid to show their range, to pay tribute to the music that influenced them.
Yeah.
It's all part of the mix.
It's really cool. And then there's Mission from Airy. I mean, you hit play on this track and it's like, wait, is this even a song?
Right. It's pure Iron Maiden humor, that's what that is. It's not really a song, not in the traditional sense. It's a band argument.
What?
Yeah, they caught it on tape during a live show, apparently.
Oh, wow.
And the energy of the crowd, you know?
Right.
Like, they're all in on the joke.
They're loving it.
Exactly. It's raw, it's real, and you get a glimpse of them as a band, you know? They're not just these untouchable metal gods.
Wow.
They're just a bunch of guys who love what they do, even if they disagree sometimes.
That makes them human. It makes you appreciate the music even more, I think.
Totally agree.
Okay, so speaking of influences, we've got King of the Twilight. Another cover, right?
That's right. This one's a real trip, man. Super psychedelic.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the original's by a band called Nectar, and Iron Maiden, they make it their own, but they keep that original vibe going.
I love when bands do that, you know?
Yeah, it's a delicate balance, you know? But this is where it gets interesting, I think. Looking at the songs a band chooses to cover,
Yeah.
it's like a window into their musical DNA, you know? It shows you where their sound comes from.
Totally. Okay, so we've gone through history, we've talked mythology, even a little band drama.
A little behind-the-scenes action.
Exactly. But we got to talk about the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
The Number of the Beast. This song caused a full-blown satanic panic.
Oh, yeah. Talk about a legacy, right?
Oh, it's insane.
This song, it became a symbol for everything people were afraid of about heavy metal back then.
Yeah, it's crazy how much power one song had.
It's wild, isn't it? And looking back, it's kind of funny, you know? A lot of the controversy, it was just people taking the lyrics out of context.
People hearing the word beast and just freaking out.
Pretty much. But the song itself, man, it's powerful.
Oh, for sure.
It's about good versus evil, that internal struggle we all go through.
Yeah.
It's a classic story, you know? Temptation, wrestling with your demons, all set to some of the most iconic riffs ever written.
And it still holds up today,
It really does.
even with all the baggage,
Yeah.
all the misconceptions.
Right. And that says something, doesn't it? About the power of music to connect with people, to transcend generations.
It's true.
Even if you weren't there for the whole satanic tannic thing, you can't deny the impact this song had.
Oh, absolutely not.
And continues to have, you know. It's a testament to their songwriting, the way they could tap into those primal fears, those anxieties that are still relevant today, you know.
It's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it, how one song could cause such a stir.
It really is.
But that's the Number of the Beast for you.
Yeah.
And it makes you realize, Power Slave, it's not just an album.
Right.
It's a snapshot of a moment in time.
Yeah.
Those anxieties of the 80s, the whole Cold War thing, the threat of nuclear war.
Yeah, that constant fear.
It was a heavy time, and you can hear it in the music.
And it's not just in the real world, right? Iron Maiden, they bring those anxieties into those historical and mythological stories, too.
Yeah, that's true.
Think about the Pharaoh in Power Slave. All powerful, right? Worshipped as a god,
Right.
but still terrified of dying. It's like, even back then, people were wrestling with these huge existential questions.
And Iron Maiden just bottled that feeling, set it to music.
Some of the most powerful metal ever written, too.
Absolutely. And you know what? Those themes, they still resonate today, even if the context has shifted a bit.
For sure.
We're still dealing with power, with death, with what it means to be human. It's all there in Power Slave.
It reminds me of that saying, history might rhyme,
Yeah.
but great art, it lasts.
Yeah.
And Power Slave, with the history, the literature, the energy, it definitely earns its place in the Hall of Fame.
No doubt about it.
Yeah.
But here's something I've been thinking about throughout this whole deep dive.
Yeah.
We've seen how Iron Maiden really gets into history and mythology and literature.
They go all in.
But why do we, the listeners, why are we still so drawn to these stories? What is it about ancient Egypt, about epic battles, about these classic poems that still grabs us after all these years?
That's the question, isn't it? I think it points to something deeper within us, you know. Maybe it's that search for meaning, that need to connect to something bigger than ourselves.
Yeah.
Or maybe, just maybe, we just love a damn good story.
Especially when it rocks this hard.
Exactly. And Power Slave is a testament to the power of those stories, you know? Those timeless themes that never get old.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Well, there you have it, folks. A deep dive into Iron Maiden's Power Slave, an album that's so much more than just heavy metal. It's history, it's literature, it's a reflection of an era. Keep listening, keep rocking out, and we'll catch you on our next deep dive.